Alex Webb said, "Color is very much about the atmosphere and emotion and the feel of the place." How's it going, everybody? My name is Steven and welcome to QO Photos. Here we look at classic photographers and think about what their mind state is and any techniques they had and how we could apply them today. Today we're going to be looking at Alex Webb. He has a lot of experience photographing throughout the world in different places such as Haiti, Mexico, the Caribbean, and so many other places, and he has released so many different books. For most of my reference today, I am going to be using his book from this year, 2023, which is Dislocations. And this is basically a combination of photographs that didn't make it into his other books. However, I do find that some of these are in other books, but they just feel a little bit out of place. And so he kind of put this book together with so many other photographs and little tidbits here and there. And honestly, it's so interesting to see all of these photographs. And honestly, this has a nostalgic kind of feel for me. Maybe because I'm Spanish and I've traveled to so many countries as a kid that when I look back at some of these photographs, I feel like I've been there myself. And it's just so interesting to see his work and just have this kind of weird feeling of nostalgia as if I've been there, but he's also photographing in the 70s where I wasn't even born yet. So it's kind of really weird. It's kind of really cool, I think. I definitely love his work. I love this book. And he has an even more popular book. If I'm remembering right, it's called The Suffering of Light. It's also really hard to find because he does do limited quantity books. So they are all like discontinued by now. I think don't even know if this is still in production yet. I know that the original one also was very limited production, but definitely check out his work. So we're going to get a little bit into his history, and then we're going to talk about what are some things that we could learn about Alex Webb and how we could apply them today. Alex Webb was born in San Francisco in 1952, and he grew up in the New England area. He got into photography during high school. For college, he was studying history and literature at Harvard, and photography at Carpenter Center for Visual Arts. Now, some sources say that he was actually doing this at the same time. Other sources don't really say that he was at the same time, so from what I found, he was actually going to two different schools, learning literature, history, and photography all at the same time, which I think is super impressive. Honestly, I can't do that. So he actually started out in black and white photography, but he became more and more interested in color photography while photographing in Haiti and the US-Mexican border. In an interview with the Photography and Video Show, he talks about this and he says that he thinks color adds more emotion to his photos, which I think is very interesting because I feel like I've said this before in previous videos. Black and white has its place and color has its place. I am a big color fan, to be very honest. But I think that's what creates the nostalgia that I was talking about before when I was reviewing his book. I think it does add emotion and it does kind of add this little feeling to it that I don't think black and white does as well, but black and white does add its own feeling. I just think it represents it in a different way. Back to his history. So he began working as a photojournalist in 1972, and he appeared in places like the New York Times, Nat Geo, Life magazine, so many other places, and he actually became a full member of Magnum Photos in 1979. Now, by my math, that means that he was 27 years old by the time he got accepted as a full member into Magnum Photos, which is super impressive because I'm 28 and I do want to be part of Magnum Photos, but I know I'm nowhere near that at this current moment. So he's living the dream at 27. All right, so what are some things that we can learn about Alex Webb's photography and what are some things that we could actually apply today? Well, a lot of his stuff is mostly about composition. There's a lot of things about color, but I think that, with film and with editing, you could kind of copy that color, but his kind of state of mind when he's kind of composing these photos, or sometimes he's not even composing, he just takes it in that minute of whatever is happening. And so I think it's just, he was always in the right time, in the right place, and he just knew how to get his shot. So we're gonna be looking at a lot about his composition in his photos and how we can kind of apply this today. So while talking about his composition, the first thing I want to bring up is basically layering. But the way he does layering is pretty different. And just to give you just a really quick background, layering is basically that idea when you have something in the foreground, the midground, and the background, and all together your eyes walk back and forth through this photo. Now with his, he has this special kind of framing that I really enjoy, which is basically a shot within a shot, a picture within a picture. And he has this ability to kind of have two frames overlap, and this kind of layering makes it seem like there's multiple photos in one. Now this is done by a few different ways: reflections, shooting through something, shooting next to something, especially having a pillar in the middle. There's a couple of different ways to do this. It's a little difficult. It's just one of those things where you have to keep your eyes open for it. And in addition to that, another way he does his framing and his layering is with color and contrast, which I'm going to get to in just a few. But it's just this process of layering that he has, whether it be the photo within a photo, and the other version I'm going to say is chaos. He has this ability to kind of have your eyes walk through the frame and kind of see multiple different areas of the picture. And the increasing amount of chaos is basically in street photography, you can't really control the environment. And so there's some people walking in the background, the midground, and the foreground, but somehow this kind of chaos like smooths itself out and creates this really wonderful image that he happens to have so many of. Another thing we can take away from Alex Webb's photography is looking for light, or don't. Now, what I mean by that is, basically, you are looking for light, right? Because that's what photography is all about. But he's looking for shadows. And sometimes when the shadow is very intense, so you have a really bright background and a really intense shadow, you have this really natural contrast. And on top of that contrast, this contrast and having those really dark blacks actually helps to intensify the rest of the colors in the frame. And so this creates a really nice balance between not just the contrast, but the colors that you have in there, intensifying them more. And I think that really adds on to his color photography and the way that he looks at it. Now, one last thing I want to leave you guys with, and it's a very important mental state, or not even mental state, just an idea that we all have to have when we're doing street photography. And Alex Webb said it best: fail. Photography, especially street photography, is about, and he said it's 99.9% failure. And I think that's super important, and that's something that we should all remember, that it's not every photo needs to be a banger. Not every photo needs to be the best photo. A lot of our photos are not going to be the best, or not going to be good, or just downright bad. And I think that's important for us to learn. If you're always going for the best photo and you're only focusing on the best photo, then you're kind of like slowing yourself down. However, if you embrace your failures, learn from them, look back at them, see, hey, how could I have done this better? That can help improve your photography. And it's this trial and error that even school cannot teach you that will help you improve your photography. So don't be afraid to fail, and just fail until you get it right. And Alex Webb has this really, really great idea. And he said this in an interview, that it's just 99.9% failure. So definitely go out there, keep doing your best, fail all the time until you get it right. That's one of the fun parts about photography, is that we can fail, and with digital error, we can just delete and redo and do it as many times as we want, right? But keep that in mind. You're not always going to be the best at it in the beginning, but the more you fail, the more you learn, the better you get. I hope you guys enjoyed this video about Alex Webb. If you guys have any comments, definitely leave it down below. Leave a comment about any other photographers we should look into. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you guys want to see more videos, and I'll see you guys on the next one.